When it started with me, George, Paul and Ringo, and we said, listen, man, you know, here's another field of professionalism that doesn't need any qualifications except that you've got to get down to it, you know, and want to do it. And you can make it in the terms of the world, the terms of reference they're talking about. You can make it without that pressure of the 11 plus, etc., and GC and all that. And everybody at the same time was finding that out. You know, I mean, I had my guitar, and Mick Jagger had his in London, and Eric Burdon was up in Newcastle, and we were all going through the same changes at once. And we all discovered that the values didn't mean a thing, you know, and you could make it without college and education and all those things, you know. It's nice to be able to read and write, but apart from that, I never learned anything worth a damn, you know.
There's an exam they have in England that they hang over your head. You know, there's a couple of them, but one of them is called 11 plus, and they hang it over you from age 5. You know, if you don't pass the 11 plus, which you take at 11, obviously, then you're finished in life. So that was the only exam that I ever passed because I was terrified. And after that exam's over, the teacher says you can do whatever you want. So I just painted.
The Yesterday and Today album, I always take the cover and I try and peel back.
To look for the dead babies, but yeah.
How did that happen, that album cover that never saw the light of day, or if it did, got pulled off very quickly?
It went out, we took the pictures in London at one of those photo sessions. By then we were really sort of, you know, beginning to hate it. A photo session was a big ordeal, and, you know, you had to try and look normal, you know, and you didn't feel it. And the photographer was a bit of a surrealist, you know, and he brought along all these babies and pieces of meat and doctor's coats, so we really got into it, and that's how we felt, yeah. So we sort of, I especially, pushed for it to be an album cover, you know, just to break the image, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it got out in America, and they printed, it's about 60,000 got out, and then there was some kind of fuss, as usual, and they were all sent back in or withdrawn, and they stuck that awful looking picture which you have in front of you of us sitting, looking just as deadbeat, but supposed to be happy-go-lucky foursome.
You look very unhappy.
Yeah, right. So we tried to, you know, do something different.
Album covers were much simpler then, right? Just a cover.
You just walk in, take your photo, and walk out. You know. Especially in America, because we made only, say, 10 albums, actually. In America, there seemed to be 30 of them. And so we would design a cover or have control a bit more of our own covers in England. But America always had more albums, so they always needed another picture, another cover.
We used to be very upset because England would have 14 tracks per album,
yeah, and
then we'd only get 12.
Well, we used to say, why can't we put 14 out in America, you know, and stop them? Because we would sequence the albums, how we thought they should sound, and we'd put a lot of work into the sequencing too. And we almost got to not care what happened in America because it was always different. They wouldn't let us put 14 out. They said there was some rule or something that we... And
Greed, I think.
Well, whatever it was, you know. And so we almost didn't care what happened to the albums in America until we started coming over more and noticing, like on the 8 tracks, they'd have outtakes and mumbling on the beginning, which is interesting now, but it used to drive us crackers because we'd make an album and then they'd keep 2 from every album.
This is John Lennon.
John Lennon, the leader of the Beatles. I'm John Edwards.
Hello, John. Good name, that, John.
That's a wonderful name, John. And when you've completed your tour of Australia, where are you going to then?
We go back to England for the premiere of our film, and then I think we hang about a bit, I've forgotten, and then we go to America and then do a tour of Britain.
George,
and our cases haven't gone
who selected the name the Beatles, and how did you derive this particular name with
the
BEA instead of
John
Beatles?
Got the name Beatles ages ago, you know, when we needed a name and everybody was thinking of a name, and he thought of Beatles.
Why the BEA instead of the BE?
Well, actually, you know.
Well, you know, if they left it with BEE, it was hard enough getting people to understand why it was BEA, never mind.
John, has the Mersey beat changed since you've been playing it?
Oh, we still keep on saying there's no such thing as Mersey, it's just something the press made up, you know.
Well, what do you play the same way now as you did?
It's just rock and roll, it just so happens we write most of it.
Has Buddy Holly influenced your music at all, Joe?
He did in the early days, obviously, you know. But, no, well, not obviously, but he, you know, he was one of the greats and that.
So did James Thurber, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't sing so well. No, we've been playing this kind of music for about 5 or 6 years or something like that. It's just rock and roll, you know, it just happens we write it.
Well, what do you think made the difference that suddenly put you up above the other groups?
Well, we got a record contract.
We'd never start our own label, it's too much trouble, you know.
Will you invest heavily in some other company than has for Beatles, or?
I don't know, that'll be all up to Mr. Epstein.
How long before your contract does terminate with Capitol?
I don't know. I don't even remember signing it. A year. It lasts another year. Oh, yeah. How do we decide that?
We're not writing one, are we? Are we?
Yeah, you're writing one. You've heard him telling you right one.
I didn't know we were writing one. Everybody's writing one. Did he?
I said we'd thought of it. We haven't done anything about it, you know. Somebody said, what do you want to do next? And that sounded like quite a good thing to do, but we haven't done anything about it. I think whoever knows most of the words by the time we get to it.
Is that a laser you've got there? Maybe, we don't know yet. It's up to Brian, you know. Nothing definite, same as now.
Do you ever go to the barbers, John?
No, you know, I haven't had my haircut since the film. The woman on the film cut it good, but I don't trust anybody else. So
This is the film Beatlemania, is it?
No, it's not called that. That's another story. That's
Hard Day's Night.
Hard Day's Night, it's called.
Are you satisfied with the finished product?
Well, it's as good as anybody that makes a film who can't act, you know.
I've just been advised, and Paul told me that this was not going to happen, that your next release in America is going to be a song called A Hard Day's Night. It'll come out on the 26th of June.
I think Long Tall Sally's the next release in America.
Well, according to Cashbox this week, it's A Hard Day's Night.
I'll give it. You know what. I only know what we.
No, well, that's
what
true.
happens in England, you know, because they all make their own singles out of the LPs everywhere else.
John, what's your reaction to the Australian trip?
It was marvellous. Well worth the trip, and we hope to come back.
What about... correct. What about the circular stage at Sydney Stadium?
Well, it was a bit off-putting the first half of the first night. You know, you don't know what's happening.